If your phone dies right now, what will you do? Well, if it's under warranty, you may opt to send it back to the manufacturer, wait 3 or 4 weeks, and get it back. But what if you don't have that kind of time? What if it's too expensive to send it to the manufacturer? Well, you may opt for local repair, maybe at a local repair shop. But what will you do if the repair shop can't get any authorized parts? Or what if these authorized parts are proprietary and very expensive? Well, then, my friend, you have a very expensive paperweight on your hands. You see, a lack of enforceable right to repair laws have directly contributed to a surge of unrepairable devices. Unfortunately, it's not just devices that are affected. A lack of enforceable right to repair laws have also left America's farmers without a means to fix their own farm equipment, which adversely affects the ability of this country to feed its citizens. Hello, my name is Alex Albino. I have over 20 years of electronics repair experience, and the struggle for the right to repair has been an intriguing subject I've kept my eye on for a few years. During this talk, I'd like to share my findings with you and explain why I believe you and I would both agree that the right to repair is fundamental to our future and is a right that should be protected. I would like to go over the following 4 points. Corporations are fighting against your right to repair. That's point 1. Point 2. E-waste is contributing to the destruction of our ecosystem. Point 3. Our food supply is in danger when farmers can't farm. And finally, 4th point, how we can protect our right to repair laws. So let's go over some of the problems. Big problems. EULAs, end user license agreements. They're little bits of contracting legalese that get added at the point of sale. John Deere has made the software controlling these tractors proprietary and made it so that only authorized dealerships could service these tractors. What's the problem? Farmers are often up against very short time frames to harvest crops. They could just diagnose and fix issues out on the field themselves. But because of EULAs and the proprietary nature of the software, they legally cannot. These types of setbacks can mean the difference between surviving another year or losing the farm. Another problem is that big companies such as Apple and John Deere are actively fighting against the right to repair. As an example, let's look at what was published on Ars Technica in an article by David Kravitz titled Industry and Apple Opposing Right to Repair Laws. It says, ahead of a 2010 decision by federal regulators to legalize mobile phone jailbreaking, Apple had cautioned U.S. copyright officials that doing so would have potentially catastrophic consequences because hackers wielding jailbroken iPhones might take down the nation's mobile phone networks. Additionally, it says tractor maker John Deere is also opposing the measure. According to John Deere's licensing agreement, customers cannot even review the software running the tractor, including any software, data files, documentation, engine calibration tables. That licensing model exists even though federal regulators issued new Digital Millennium Copyright Act exemptions in 2015, authorizing the public to tinker with software and vehicles for good faith security research and for lawful modification. So what was the point of all this? John Deere and Apple are opposing and scaremongering to protect their bottom line. With the amount of resources these companies wield, there is a very real possibility that right to repair laws are at risk, or might not even come to fruition. What's another problem? Well, the lack of right to repair laws hurts our ecosystem. How so? Well, according to the author of Consumer Electronic Right to Repair Laws, focusing on an environmental foundation, Joshua Turiel, millions of Apple iPhones were estimated to enter circulation in 2019. Where do these billions of devices designed to be repair unfriendly end up? Likely at the local dump when you're done with them. There, the heavy metals such as lead eventually contaminate our water systems. Joshua Turiel further writes, a different set of dangers emerge when electronic devices are discarded. The toxic substances it contains enter an uncertain path fraught with potentially harmful effects. Globally, 76% of e-waste ends up in landfills or is recycled under unsafe conditions. In landfills, these toxins contaminate the soil and water. Yikes. Now, what else does this lack of repair rights hurt? It also hurts our food supply. That's a big problem. What happens when you're not allowed to fix something you already own? Well, John Deere seems to have a stranglehold on farm-working America in that respect. Aaron Perzanowski, in a journal, India Law Journal, in an article titled Consumer Perceptions of the Right to Repair, says, device makers from Apple to John Deere have adopted designs and embraced strategies that thwart the repair of the products they sell. Farmers spend exorbitant amounts of money on farm equipment, but because of EULAs and proprietary software and these anti-repair designs, they are thwarted from fixing their own farm equipment. Without working farm equipment, whole crops can be lost, leading to the financial ruin of farmers and a destabilization of our food supply. So then, how are these problems addressed today? Well, we can look at some laws that have passed. On 21st of July of this year, 2021, the FTC approved the right to repair. With the might of the Federal Trade Commission behind it, an active enforcement against repair restrictions will be conducive to keeping repairable devices out of the dump for longer. It also means farmers will breathe easier knowing that if they bought expensive farm equipment, they'll be able to fix it and get the job done. However, if we take the right to repair for granted, history shows us that corporate America will not hesitate to take away our rights for the sake of profits. Our food and water supplies would be put in jeopardy once more. So, what can we do? We should remain vigilant against any entity that would try and destroy the right to repair. And we should take action to protect our rights, our food supply, and our ecosystem. In conclusion, corporations don't favor your right to repair. Electronic waste is a toxic danger. And there are laws being put in place to protect our right. That means that in the future, you can keep your devices working longer, and you can continue to depend on food and clean water. This also means that we'll be protected from malicious legal attacks and anti-repair chicanery. That we'll be able to repair our own equipment and our own devices, keeping them in circulation longer. So, keep your eye on your right to repair. Think about your devices. Encourage e-waste recycling programs and repairs to extend the lifetime of your electronics. Let's keep e-waste out of our ecosystem as much as possible. Advocate for the people's right to repair what they already paid for. And don't let business interests rob you of a clean environment, your food source, and your money. Remember, if you don't use it, you lose it. Use your right to repair, advocate for it, and stay vigilant.